You know how sometimes the calm before the storm feels almost too quiet? Well, that calm just shattered, because what happened in New York has people saying the royal storm we've all been waiting for has finally hit, and it hit harder than anyone expected. New York City was supposed to be their weekend, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's big moment to show the world they were still that power couple, unbothered and unstoppable. The plan? Smiles for the cameras, matching designer looks, and that polished red carpet confidence. But instead, what the cameras captured looked nothing like a love story, it looked like a royal disaster unfolding in real time. When the couple stepped onto the carpet at the Humanitarian of the Year gala, everything looked picture-perfect at first. Meghan arrived in a custom Armani power suit, glittering with diamonds said to be worth more than a Manhattan penthouse. Harry walked beside her, but his body language told a different story. His expression? Tight. His posture? Rigid. You could almost feel the tension through the screen. Photographers flashed their cameras, Meghan turned on her signature glow, but Harry's face looked like stone, locked in that uncomfortable smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. One insider whispered, "You could cut the tension with a sword." At one point, Meghan tried to catch his gaze with a playful glance, but Harry's response was barely there, a half-hearted smile, gone before it even began. Later that night, witnesses spotted Meghan dining alone, and by morning, the whispers began, they went their separate ways. Literally. For a couple who once called themselves salt and pepper because they said they were inseparable, this was the first clear sign that something was deeply wrong. What was meant to be their glittering comeback moment had suddenly turned into a quiet preview of a breakup. But to understand that night, you have to rewind the clock, back to Paris. Because, according to those close to the couple, that's where the real damage began. Paris has always been complicated for Harry. It's the city where his mother, Princess Diana, tragically lost her life. For years, he refused to even go near it, too painful, too haunted by memories. So when Meghan suddenly jetted off to Paris alone for what she called a business trip, people raised their eyebrows. And when word got back to Harry that she'd filmed content near the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, the exact spot where his mother's car crashed, something inside him reportedly broke. Friends close to the prince say he was overwhelmed with emotion. She knew exactly what that place meant to him, one insider said. Nothing Meghan does is accidental. But when the backlash hit, Meghan brushed it off like it was nothing. She reportedly told friends it was just work. But for Harry, it wasn't just work, it was betrayal wrapped in a press release. The one city that haunted his dreams was now being used as the backdrop for his wife's personal brand. From that moment on, insiders say the cracks in their relationship began to widen. Harry wanted peace and privacy, Meghan wanted cameras and exposure. Every move she made in her career seemed to push him further toward the shadows. And deep down, that Paris trip wasn't just another argument, it was a turning point. And speaking of turning points, let's talk about the man many insiders whisper about, Marcus Anderson. If you followed Meghan's story from her Suits days, you already know the name. Marcus, the stylish, charming, always present friend, seems to be wherever Meghan goes. From brunches in Toronto to dinner parties in Montecito, he's there, always by her side. Some royal watchers even joke there are 3 people in that marriage, Harry, Meghan, and Marcus. Now, Marcus isn't just a friend. He's connected, deep in the Soho House circles, Hollywood's elite, and the high-end social network that can open doors faster than any royal title could. Meghan's loyalty to him isn't just emotional, it's strategic. And Harry? He's reportedly had enough. Friends say he feels like a stranger in his own life, watching his wife build a glittering world he doesn't belong to. At parties, Meghan lights up, laughing, posing, networking, while Harry fades quietly into the background. He was supposed to be her partner, but somewhere along the way, he became her plus one. When you watch them on red carpets now, it's almost painful. She glows for the cameras, and he scans the exits like a man who can't wait to escape. The camera flashes, the same kind that haunted him since Diana's final night, still make him flinch. But Meghan? She thrives on them. There's even a viral clip from that gala. Harry reaches for her hand, and she subtly pulls away, turning her attention to the crowd instead. One source summed it up perfectly: she's in love with the camera, not the man standing next to her. Inside their circle, people describe it like this: Harry hates the spotlight, Meghan lives for it. For her, the flashing lights and applause are oxygen. For him, every click of a camera feels like a reminder of everything he's lost. They're not just a couple, they're two people playing completely different games. Meghan's chasing relevance. Harry's chasing peace. And the cruel irony? The harder she runs toward fame, the more invisible he becomes. By the time the night ends and the cameras are gone, all that's left is silence. Two people in designer clothes, sitting in separate corners, wondering how their fairy tale turned into a business arrangement. Remember when they said they were leaving the palace for freedom? For privacy? For a chance to live a normal life? Well, fast forward to now, and it looks more like a royal rerun, this time with a California filter. When they moved to Montecito, Harry dreamed of quiet mornings and family time. But Meghan? She saw opportunity, brand deals, Netflix contracts, and a growing empire. One friend of the couple put it bluntly: they left one palace and built another, just with cameras instead of courtiers. And that recent Humanitarian of the Year award? Instead of admiration, it sparked outrage. The internet exploded with comments asking, humanitarians of what? Their charity foundation, Archwell, was supposed to uplift communities and tackle online harm, but insiders whisper that the meetings are rare, the structure is messy, and the mission keeps changing. Some say it's more about optics than outcomes, buying awards just to stay in the headlines. Even Harry's speech that night raised eyebrows. He spoke about greed, power, and corruption, all while living in luxury deals worth millions. And Meghan? She turned the event into a fashion show, dripping in couture, staying in a $1,900 a night suite. The contrast didn't go unnoticed. A couple preaching humility, dressed like royalty, only without the palace. Behind the gates of their Montecito mansion, the story gets even sadder. Insiders say they're living under the same roof but in different worlds. Meghan spends her days on calls with PR teams, networking, and planning her next move. Harry prefers long walks, quiet moments with the kids, and books that help him escape. They're not fighting, they're just disconnected. Even their closest friends are noticing the chill. Meghan's back to hosting brunches with LA elites, while Harry's rarely seen. When he does appear, one guest said, he looks like a man surviving, not living. Some reports even hint at private talks of a trial separation. But don't expect a public split anytime soon. Their image, contracts, and finances are too intertwined. For now, they'll keep smiling for the cameras, even if that smile hides 1,000 cracks. Their story began like a movie, a prince who gave up his crown for love, and a woman who said she'd change the world beside him. But somewhere along the way, the fairy tale faded into exhaustion, resentment, and regret. Today, insiders describe them as professional roommates. They show up for the photos, pose when they must, and then go back to their separate lives. Meghan's chasing partnerships. Harry's chasing purpose. But no matter how far they drift apart, they can't seem to break free, not from each other, and not from the empire they built together. Because what they've built isn't just a marriage, it's a brand. And that brand, shiny as it looks, has become their golden cage, glittering on the outside, suffocating within. As one insider quietly said, they're trapped in the performance they created. So next time you see those perfectly staged photos, the smiles, the hand-holding, the laughter, remember this: you're not watching a love story anymore. You're watching a show. A mirage rehearsed 1,000 times, fading a little more with every flash of the camera. Once upon a time, they said they left the crown to find freedom. But in chasing the spotlight, they built a throne of their own. And now, the cracks are showing. Because as every Hollywood story goes, the show isn't over yet. Not by a long shot.